Hari Om, everybody. Good evening. A very warm welcome to all of you. So we'll listen to the rest of the singers at the end of the session. Please let's all pray together. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutam gamaya Sahana vavatu Sahano bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. O Lord the Almighty, with profound bhakti, shraddha and prapatti, together we all offer our salutations to seek your grace, your mercy, your blessings, your kindness, your goodness, your forgiveness, your strength, your love, your compassion. O Lord, please bless us with all these divine qualities, Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya, only and only to understand thy divine nature. And we beseech in you that at the end of our lives, we reach your holy feet. Om Tat Sat. Today, we are on our Divine Discourse number 259, the 21st of January 2022, Plavanama Samvatsar, Uttarayan, Hemanta Rutu, Pushyamas, Krishna Paksh, Tritiya, Magha Nakshatra, Saubhagya Yoge, Bhadrakarane. On this auspicious day of Friday and the time of the evening, we all make a firm resolve in our mind that whatever situation, circumstance, incident happening by person, place, object, all these are only at the behest of thy divine Lord, only to uplift me from this ocean of births and deaths. I accept all this as thy blessing towards me and live in the glory of the Almighty. Om Tat Sat. Good evening to all of you. A very warm welcome. So today we'll take a quick recap of what we did last time, and then we'll move in detail to the tamasic aspect of the Lord's creation, and then post that we will now see how Jiva and Paramatma, at the essence level, they happen to be the same, or they are one and the same. So this is the Advaita philosophy. So I'll take you from the Dvaita to Vishishta Advaita and then the Advaita principles, so that you have an overall view of the journey towards the Almighty. So as we started, Brahman and his power Maya came Ishvara. So here, this Ishvara is now called the Shaktiman because he has got the Shakti. So from Maya and from Ishvara now come the 5 elements in the order of subtle to gross. We have seen that. And these elements, they are called as Tan Matra. Tan Matra. Tan means by, Matra themselves. So these subtle elements are just by themselves. There is no concoction, there is no mixture. They are simply by themselves. So they are called as Tanmatra. And in terms of subtlety, what we saw? First came the Akasha. Second came Vayu. That is, from Akasha came Vayu. And then from Vayu came the Agni, and from Agni comes the Jala, and from Jala comes the Prithvi. So we saw all this. Now, Maya has got its inherent qualities, which are Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So essentially, since these 5 elements, which are known as the Pancha Mahabhutas, they come from Maya. And since Maya has got Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, so naturally all these 5 elements also have Sattva, Rajas and Tamas in them. So here what happened? From this Sattva aspect, and now before Sattva, I'll just give you an idea now how to visualize this Sattva aspect and the Tamas and the Rajasic aspect. Now imagine, let's give a color white to Sattva, and Rajas will give a color red, and will give Tamas the color black. So imagine there is one circle and it is divided into 3 equal portions: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And visualize red, white and black. All these 3 qualities are there. Now likewise, you visualize the 5 elements, which are 5 circles, and all the 5 circles will have these 3 equal divisions with these 3 equal colors. Now what we mean to say here by the Sattva aspect of each element, each means Veshti. Veshti means individual, one element. So the Veshti Sattva aspect come the Nyanindriya. So all the whites of all the 5 circles, this Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi, take the whites of all the 5 elements, and from them come the Jnanendriya. Now when we say Jnanendriya, understand it is the faculty behind the senses which gives the perception of that particular sense. Like, for example, you have an eye, and unfortunately, due to an accident, there is a damage in the eye. Now, what happens if the eye is completely damaged? It's crushed, let's say, but the sense organ behind the eye is still active and alive. So that is that Jnanindriya what we are talking about. The Golaka means the instrument, which is the eye, is actually an external organ. So now that comes under the Tamas aspect. Okay. So what you have to understand when you say Jnanindriya means the faculty behind the sense organ, behind the eye, behind the ear, behind the skin, okay, behind the tongue, that way. And now from the Samashti Sattva, so from each white Veshti comes one, which we have discussed. Like from Akasha comes the ear, and from Vayu comes the sense of touch. So likewise, we have seen all that. Now take the 5 whites together of all the 5 elements and combine all the 5 whites, which is the Sattva. So you get Samashti. From this Samashti comes our Antakarana, the faculty of Antakarana. Antakarana is Manaha, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Manaha is mind, Buddhi is intelligence, Chitta is memory, and Ahankara is the I factor. So this is clear? From those 5 circles of imaginary circles what you have made with respect to the elements, white constitute, which is the 1/3 portion, constitutes the sattvic aspect, and from each and every sattvic aspect of each and every element comes the 5 sense organs separately, and all the whites put together, you get the Antakarana. Okay, now let's take the Rajasic Amsha. Now what is Sattvic Amsha denote? It denotes the knowledge portion, where you get the ability to learn, understand, study. Okay, that is the knowledge aspect. Now what is Rajas aspect? Rajas is basically the activity aspect. So Veshti, now Rajas we gave a color of red. So from red of each and every 5 element, one by one, we got various karmendriyas, organs of action. And from the Samashti, all the red put together, we got the pranas, the pancha pranas, which are prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. Now see the intelligence in the creation. That is what we need to understand over here. We are not learning any civil engineering over here so that we learn, how Lord has created the Brahmanda from this particular, from his knowledge, and we also understand that, and we also go to create a Brahmanda. That's not our intention here. Here, just admire the glory of the Lord. That is what we want. We don't need to understand the technical details over here. What is essential is you should develop that faith, that bhakti, and that love for God, wherein see what is his strength and whom am I praying for, whom am I aspiring for. You can't have anybody in your life greater than this power. So that is how we are trying to understand this power. Okay, now after that we understood pranas came in, and then we got the Antakarana. We understood about the mind, intelligence, then memory, and then we understood one very important aspect, which was with respect to that Ahankara. Ahankara is that which identifies with everything. Now the body is hungry. It says, I am hungry. The body is perspiring. It says, I am perspiring. The mind is happy. It says, I am happy. For some reason, the mind gets agitated. It says, I am agitated. So, this I factor, which has come in everywhere, is the root cause for our bandhan. Bandhan is that bondage of the soul to the multifold births and deaths. So now gradually we'll move ahead, and then as we now we are going to study the oneness of the Jiva and the Paramatma. We'll understand the concept there, and then we'll be moving forward to understand the karma theory, and then we'll understand the after the karma theory we also have to understand Tattvamasi, which is the Mahavakya. Now, whatever bodh means the knowledge we are getting here, now we have to assimilate that knowledge. So, in this way, we will move forward on this journey of Tatva Bodha. We are almost at we have crossed almost 2/3. Now we are just left with 1/3. Okay. So we now straight move to the Tamas aspect. Now, as we have seen last time, we have done Rajas, Sattva and Rajas, and then we understood what is the size of the creation in terms of the Brahmanda and the Samashti, Veshti. All this we got an idea. Okay. Now, one thing you should understand is the Sattva, Rajas aspect and the Tamas aspect is in all the creatures, individuals, human beings, animals, plants, all sorts of creatures you can see, even the Devatas, and also in the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. So this, because we all come under the realm of the creation. Even the Trimurtis come under the realm of creation. So now when you understand, imagine the power of constructing a Brahmanda. We just to construct one home, you say by the time you finish your construction, you say, my God, I take a vow that I will not construct another house in my life. See, here we buy ready flats, so we don't understand in cities, but in small towns and two-tier cities, what happens is you buy a plot and then you do Bhumi Pujan and then you start constructing. Oh, it's a big job. So here what they say is, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that this Lord with his power, how he creates? Yasya Nisvachitam, he says. Yasya Nisvachitam means just like we are breathing, which we don't even know that we are breathing. Unless you draw your attention to your breath, you don't know that you're breathing. It goes on effortlessly. So in the same way, what the Upanishads, Upanishads and the Bhagavatam, they say is, God has got that power. Effortlessly he creates not one Brahmanda, but infinite Brahmandas. So even to such a great God, the Antakarana is made from the Panchabhutas. You understand? And now what are we? We are also made of the same Panchabhutas. It's not that the God has got a separate quality of Panchabhuta, a separate concoction or a mixture of these 5 elements. No, we all are made from the same Panchabhutas. So here we have to feel the greatness and glory of the Panchabhutas as well, which is accessible to each one of us. Every moment we are accessible. The air we are breathing is one of the Panchabhutas. The light which we are seeing, the heat around us, the water, the space, and we are situated on this earth. So this is where you have to start developing. Oh, the Lord, even that Lord who has created this universe, the Trimurtis also come from this Panchabhutas. So how does this knowledge come? It comes from the Vedas. Because who is telling us? The Vedas, the Upanishads. So we know and we accept many things in life. Now you may ask a question, Vedas are telling, then you start getting question marks in your mind. But look at yourself. In terms of your own perception capabilities, right from our childhood, we have learned so many things. At one point of time, they said tallest mountain is Mount Everest. And they gave a specification that this is so many meters tall. Now, did we not accept it? Did we try to question and say, wait, teacher, I'll go measure and come? Did we ever say that? We said, okay, we made a note. We said, teacher, once again, please give me the exact number. And to the third decimal, we wrote down, okay, the tallest mountain on this planet is Mount Everest. So many square meters. So many meters in height. Then which is the deepest ocean? Pacific Ocean. And then we got the depth also. So we actually don't go and measure anywhere. What happens is, that is the faith which we have. So everything cannot be taken on saying, I will believe only when I see it with my own eyes, when I measure it with my own hands, So in that same spirit of understanding, one has to have faith on this. Faith till what time? Till the time you get to know what you have believed, or you get to experience what you have believed. And now, where do you draw this faith from? Because there are so many yogis, sages, maharishis who have already gone through this path. So you derive inspiration from them and say, okay, I will also go ahead with the same steadfastness and faith. Okay, now we move forward. Now we know sattva comes from the knowledge components, and rajas comes from the action components, and now the samasti rajas, the samasti sattva, we all understood this. Now from tamas comes what? Now this is the subject for today. All that which is inert. Inert means that which is not sentient, that which does not have the power to know or to understand. Like what? Like the body, the mountains, the rivers, like say the gravitational force, electricity, whatever you can, the trees, all these, they don't have the power or that sentiency. Now you may get a question. You are categorizing tamas as inert. Now pranas come under the rajasic samashti aspect of the panchabhutas. What is the difference between prana and electricity? They both seem to be the same. Is not electricity and prana doing the same thing? In a way, yes. But the technical point here is, electricity is a physical force. What do you mean by physical force? There is movement of electrons in electricity, and as light, there is a movement of photons. So these are all the physical forces. Like, to be other than tamas, it has to be subtle. So all that comes under tamas are gross. So the difference between subtle and gross, because we are now understanding tamas. First we have to understand what tamas is, and then we'll go to the tamasic aspect of the creation. So we say tamas is gross. Gross is that which can be observed by the senses. For example, I can see my body. I can see somebody in front of me also. I can see a mountain, I can see a river, I can see a tree. So, which means it need not be directly by your senses. Some things you may not be able to see by your senses. So in that case, what? Even any object which you can see through specialized instruments, like through a microscope or through a telescope, all these are under the physical forces. So they come under the tamas inert aspect. So being physical forces, they come under the physical world and not under the subtle world. So this is clear. Anything which is not sentient and anything which does not have the power to perceive, that comes under the tamas category. So now, what comes under the subtle world? For example, our thoughts, our memories, our feelings, our emotions, because you cannot see it. Nobody can perceive it excepting the experiencer. And our faculties, like the faculty to see, which is behind the sense organ, which I mentioned a while ago. So these all come under the subtle world. So therefore, something is acting or functioning does not make it subtle. This is another point which we need to understand, because electricity belongs to the gross physical world. Even atomic energy also belongs to the gross physical world. The faculty to speak comes under the subtle world. So you may see the organ through a microscope or through an electromagnetic wave, but you cannot see the strength, the power behind the organ. Rest all you may see. You may see like the brain waves, the neurons firing and things like that in the brain, but you are not able to see the power behind the organ. So now we start our study on tamas. Okay. See, right from the beginning we are talking about panchi karana. Panchi karana, if you split the word, panchi means 5, karana means to become. So these tanmatras, which were all by themselves, there is no combination or concoction, mixture of all these 5 elements so far. We have only taken the rajas, sattva aspect, and we have got the various karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, the panchabhutas, and the antakaranas so far. Now the panchikarana happens, the grossification. Okay, so process by which these subtle elements, which we all know by now, they become gross, means they become perceivable. You cannot see air, you cannot see space, but you can touch a body, you can touch a mountain, you can touch a river, in that way. So it is that tamasic aspect of the elements. Now remember, we had imagined the 5 panchabhutas as 5 different circles, and we had used 3 colors for the 3 basic aspects of the panchabhuta, which is sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva we gave a white color because it is knowledge based, where it gathers information. Rajas we gave a red color where it is activity based, and tamas we gave a black color. Now the black portion of each and every element, now that becomes gross. How does it become? Now this is that elaborate process which we need to now understand. Okay, so you got the difference between subtle and gross. Gross is known through the senses, subtle not known through the senses. Okay, and first stage is tanmatras are in itself. So we have to be clear, only the tamas aspect undergoes the modification, which is panchikarana, means the black portion of each and every element which we designed for as the tamasic angle aspect. So now that grows under panchikarana. I will now show you a diagram and explain how the panchikarana happens of the entire gross world what we are seeing in front of us today. Okay, I'll just help you with the diagram. Okay, now let's first understand this chart. What you see here is, first is space, second is air, third is fire, fourth is water, and fifth one is earth. Now in front of each and every element, you have within brackets, you can see the indication, which by way of the first syllable they have taken as an indication. Now, how the grossification is happening of the subtle elements is half portion of space, meaning in that black, 1/3 black which you had, half of that and 1/8 of all the other four. When I go to the next diagram, it will be very clear. Whatever you can understand out of this, please understand. Don't break your head too much on this. Because as I told you, you just understand the glory of the Lord in this, not by these numbers and all that. You have to get the hang of it. So 1/8 of the rest of the four are air, fire, water and earth. 1/8 along with this half, they become grossification of one of the first element of space, which is predominantly half. Same way, air, fire, water and earth. Now I'll go to the detailed chart where the Panchikarana process is happening, and there you will understand it better. Yeah. Now, here you can see the 5 circles on the top. Space, air, fire, water and earth. Tanmatras by itself, each in itself. Now in the next level, what happens is half of that is they're divided into 2 halves, and post that split of 2 halves, 1 half is prominent in each and every modification, and in the second half what happens is 1/8 of the rest of the 4, they come and join this major component of space. In the first column, which you see under stages, 4th stage, first column, half of space, 1/8 of air, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water and 1/8 of earth. And in the second element, a Panchikarana happens. Now what it does is, the air maintains a predominant share of 50%, and the balance 4 are 1/8 of the rest, which is 1/8 of space, 1/8 of fire, 1/8 of water and 1/8 of earth. In the same way, if you take fire, here fire element is 50%, and 1/8 comes from space, 1/8 comes from air, 1/8 comes from water and 1/8 comes from earth. If you have to understand this, I'll use the old concept of 1 rupaya 16 ana. Okay, let's take as 1 rupaya 16 ana. 16 ana mein 8 ana is that half portion, and the balance 8 ana is divided into 4, which is 2 ana, 2 ana, 2 ana, 2 ana. Okay, so in the third, like you say, fire, 8 ana is fire, 2 ana comes from space, 2 ana comes from air and 2 ana comes from water, and the balance 2 ana comes from earth. So likewise, now this Panchikarana of all these 5 elements, with each element being predominant at one stage, and the rest are all equally the 1/8 portion, that is 2 ana of each and every element, it comes there and supports in terms of the Panchikarana or modification or grossification. Now you may understand, what is this? Why is this mixture, combination, all this happening? Now take for example your own body. Your body is made up of, like as we say, 70% of water. There is heat also in the body. There is earth, you can say, the food element, which is its earth. There is space also in the body, and we also know there is air in the body. In the same way, you take, for example, any food item like the vegetables what we eat. It has got starch, it has got proteins, vitamins, which are all the earth. It also has got the water content. It also has got heat. They say some vegetables or some dal, some eatables are it has that ushna, it has that heat property, and some say it has got that shita property. So, and it also has got air. So likewise, anything you take for that matter in the creation, it is a combination of several other elements as well. It is not one element per se. So the gross body cannot function without the subtle body. That we know. So see how beautifully the whole structure has been created. Now the subtle body, when it leaves the gross body disintegrates. It rottens and it merges with the 5 gross elements. Like when you say, for example, you cremate, you burn the body. When you burn the body, the heat element in the body gets absorbed in the heat element of the atmosphere. The moisture element gets absorbed in the moisture of the atmosphere. The air element gets absorbed in the air element of the atmosphere, and then the bones, the flesh, the blood, everything gets burnt and it becomes ash, and eventually that merges with the earth. So likewise, in this creation, your perception capacities have to drive you to the extent you can think of the glory of this creation. How from those basic 5 Panchabhutas, how this entire creation has come into being. So now here if you see, we have also studied Panchakoshas. The Annamaya Kosha is the Stula Sharira, where Annamaya is food sheath, where grossification has happened. Your entire body is made up of food, which comes under the Stula Sharira. So that Annamaya Kosha is the Stula Sharira, Pranamaya, Manomaya and Vijnanamaya Kosha, they come under the Sukshma Sharira. Anandamaya Kosha comes from the Karana Sharira. Now, where does Karana Sharira come from? That becomes our next question. Now, tamasic aspect we have understood now, how the grossification has happened. Sattva aspect we understood, Rajasic aspect we understood, and the Tamasic aspect we understood. And after all these, from the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, we have understood how the Pancha Shariras have been created. How the 3 bodies, the Stula Sukshma Sharira, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira also has been created, we have understood. Now let's understand, where does the Karana Sharira come from? As the very word Karana Sharira, which is the cause for the birth of the Sukshma and the Stula Sharira. Now this is very important. As we understood, where does the ignorance lie? Ignorance lies in the Aham Bhava factor of the Sukshma Sharira. And where does this Sukshma Sharira originate from? It originates from the Karana Sharira. And what is Karana Sharira? It is nothing but the minuscule of Maya. Now I'll correlate with you as to how a Jiva is born and how it travels also, so that that will make more sense for us, isn't it? That's what we are interested in. I'll just take you through that. I'll remove this slide. Okay. So here, this Karana Sharira is nothing but a minuscule of Maya. And we know Maya has got Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. But no elements of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are there in the Karana Sharira. Till now what we were saying? In the Stula Sharira, before that was in the Sukshma Sharira, there were the Sattva, Vyashti, Sattva, Samashti. There were also the Rajasic, Vyashti and Rajasic, Samashti. And when it comes to the Tamas aspects, we also saw how the Panchikarana happened and the entire universe, multiverse has been created. Now, for a Jiva, the Karana Sharira, which is the cause for the birth of the Jiva, it is nothing but a minuscule of that Maya Shakti. Without the elements of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And from where has it come? It has not come from any specific place. It is the inherent power of the Almighty Paramatma, Brahman. And it is Anadi. Anadi means beginninglessness. Beginningless. It doesn't have a beginning. It has come from any specific place? No. It doesn't have a beginning. So this Tula Sharira is not only our body, but the entire universe, what you have to understand. Okay, you said the Karana Sharira comes from Maya Shakti, and which has been there from a time which has got no beginning. Then how did this whole process start? You say there is no beginning, so you can't explain. But then I want to know, is there an end to this? Because we are talking of moksha. The Tatva Bodha, the main goal of Tatva Bodha is to attain moksha, isn't it? So now how do you connect to that part? So here what happens is, this Maya Shakti has got that power. Being in the Karana Sharira, it veils the Atman, which is there right within you. It's not that God has somewhere else, He is there right within you, but you are not able to see. Because this Maya Shakti, being in Karana Sharira, has completely veiled the Atman. Now, how do we benefit from this then? This knowledge. This is exactly the Tatva Bodha which we are getting over here. With this knowledge, what happens is, we understand how the veiling has happened, where the ignorance is, and what is the nature of the Jiva. The Jiva, by default, what it has understood is wrong, because it is veiled. Now with this knowledge, the unveiling starts. And once the unveiling starts, one need not die per se to get mukti. Jivan Mukti is another phenomenal advantage of this great knowledge, where even while living, you are liberated. This is a point which one has to note and dwell upon. Having got this knowledge, having assimilated this knowledge, and having been established in this knowledge, you are free from this samsara. Then what happens? At that point of time, when the body dies, the body is cremated and it joins the Panchabhutas of the creation. The Sukshma Sharira joins the Hiranyagarbha, and now I'll also explain how do we connect to Hiranyagarbha. And then the Karana Sharira merges with the Ishvara, with the Maya, and Maya of course is the Ishvara. So likewise, the entire identity of the body, or the cause for the body, which is the Karana Sharira, that gets completely dissolved because it has seen the light of the Atman which is there right within. Now we are not able to see. Like you have a seed. You sow the seed, you will get another tree. You take that seed and you sow it in another place, you'll get another tree, and from that you'll get another seed. But the moment you take the seed and you roast it, what happens? The capacity of the seed to further germinate is lost. In the same way, when you roast the Karana Sharira with the flame of knowledge, that is the end of Karana Sharira. It has lost its capacity to germinate. It has lost its capacity to further take a life. So this is exactly what we are pinpointing. The ignorance is in Ahankara and in the Karana Sharira, which has veiled the Atman, which is right there within us. So now we'll slowly move forward, and keeping these subtle points in your mind, you understand, in your entire journey, you have to constantly focus. I want to remove the ignorance, and I want to put an end to the Karana Sharira. I want to roast the Karana Sharira. So in this way, now keeping these at the back of our mind, we move forward. Okay, now some more technical things. Consciousness identified with the Stula Sharira or the gross body. These are basically all the technical Sanskrit words. You just, for your understanding, don't take too much to heart if you don't understand. When consciousness is identified with Stula Sharira, it is known as Vishwa. And when consciousness is identified with your Sukshma Sharira, it is known as Taijasa. And when it is identified with your Karana Sharira, it is known as Prajna. Now, Maya does not veil Brahman. Understand that. Because Brahman is boss, Maya's boss. It can not cover Brahman's nature from Brahman. Because Maya comes out of Brahman. Like, as you know, a snake's poison cannot kill a snake. It can kill somebody else outside, but not the snake by itself. So in the same way, this Maya cannot do any harm to Brahman. So only individual Karana Shariras, they are veiled by Maya. This individual Karana Sharira, it veils the self. So in Maya, Sattva is always more than an individual. The amount of Sattva in Maya is extremely high compared to what is there in an individual, which is a Vesti. So Karana Sharira being a minuscule aspect of the total. Now, since the property of totality is lost, and we are all individuals, we are all stuck that, yes, I am this body, I am this mind, I am this limited person, I have a friend there, I have an enemy here, I like somebody, I don't like somebody. So now when we are out of this totality and we have come in the individuality, so our Karana Sharira, the tamasic aspect or the ignorance aspect, is beyond a capacity, and it creates ignorance for the individual. Therefore, we cannot say Brahman is identified or it is veiled by Maya, it is supported by Maya. Okay. Now, with respect to an individual, we understood the technical names. Okay, what were the names we understood? Vishwa, Taijasa and Prajna. Now, as we also know that totality, now you as an individual, you have Taijasa. Now what happens when the Samasti, means the total Brahmanda, that is Brahman with Maya, in total Brahmanda, in the Sukshma Sharira, it is known as Hiranyagarbha. And in the Stula Sharira of the entire Brahmanda, it is known as Virat. And when it is the entire causal body of the samasti body is known as Ishvara. Okay, so this is for your understanding. So at the individual level, our Karana Sharira is known as Prajna, and at the Samasti level, it is known as Ishvara. So now, consciousness identified with the three Shariras is Jiva. You're getting this? We are conscious. And we have got three Shariras, Sthula, Sukshma and Karana Sharira, which by now we understand. Now at every Sharira, this consciousness is associated. It is identified. So that is called as Jiva. So when consciousness identified with these three entire samasti, or the three realms of the entire gross, subtle and causal, is Ishvara, that is Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara. Now we should understand Ishvara uses this Maya Shakti for his entire operations in the world. Hence he is known as Mayapati, meaning he has got command over Maya. And we as a Jiva, we are known as Maya Dasa, because we don't have any command. We are under its grip. And Lord Ishvara is also known as Pashupati. Pashu here means Jiva. He is the Lord of the Jivas. So now, who is exactly this Jiva? Who is exactly this Ishvara? This is what we need to understand now. This is the next segment where we are going. Now, after having studied the Sthula, Sukshma, Karana Shariras, then having studied the Panchabhutas in terms of the creation, now we move to the oneness of Jiva and Ishvara. This is going to be interesting. Okay, I'll take you to a slide. The relationship of the individual and the Paramatma. Okay. Evam Pinda Brahmanda Yoraikyam Sambhutam. Now what does this mean? Evam, in this way, Pinda Brahmanda Yoho, between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Aikyam means the identity. Identity means oneness, in simple terms. It's just oneness. How is this established? This oneness. So this is what we have to learn here. Sambhutam means is established. So thus, there is identity or oneness between the microcosm, which is the Jiva, and the macrocosm, which is the Creator, that is the Almighty. This is what we need to learn. Now here, if you see, we have seen that Jiva Sthula is a part of the Brahmanda. Same way, along with Sthula Sharira, Sukshma and Karana is also a part of the Brahmand or the universe. How? Because the Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, they are all made of the same 5 elements, isn't it? So, if we understand in this way, saying it is a part of the whole creation, it comes under the Vishishta Advaita. Vishishta means a part of. Advaita, non-dual, of the whole. Now what is Dvaita? Dvaita is where a spiritual seeker starts his journey. What does Dvaita tell you? Dvaita philosophy tells us that you are different and the Lord is different. The Lord is the Mayapati, you are the Maya Dasa. The Lord is the creator and you are the created. The Lord is the master and you are the servant. So, in this way, Dvaita philosophy first tries to establish a relationship between the two entities. It's the basic preliminary spiritual journey. Then slowly you upgrade yourself. Then, from you being different to the Lord, at one point, what the scriptures tell you, the teachers tell you is Vishishta Advaita, wherein you start getting the knowledge I am a part and parcel of the Lord. Because whatever is in me is nothing but the Lord. Each and every aspect in me, be it my physical structure, be it my subtle structure, every aspect, I have an element of that godliness in me. So there comes the Vishishta Advaita. So the master of the Vishishta Advaita was Sri Ramanujacharya, and the master of the Dvaita philosophy was Sri Madhvacharya. And then comes the Advaita principle, where he says, in terms of the essence, there is oneness between the Jiva and Ishvara, which means there is nothing else other than the Lord in this creation. You as a Jiva are a Bhranti. A Bhranti means an illusion, which has been created by Maya. So now let's take a recap. How did we start our journey? The first thing we understood was Adhikari. Adhikari is the one who is eligible to start a spiritual journey. Then comes Tatva Viveka. We did the discrimination of the Tatva. Tatva means the bare essential facts of the Vedanta, the essential aspects of oneness. We studied that. And from Tatva Viveka, we are currently going to Tatva Bodha. Tatva Bodha is where the true knowledge of this creator and the essence of creation is now delivered to us, which we are now about to start. And once you have that Tatva Bodha, you clearly understand and you start experiencing it. Then you get moksha, that is liberation. Till that time, you are in these 4 phases. Before moksha, whatever 3 stages are there. Now if you see, we started with Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna Adhikarinam Moksha Sadhana Bhutam Tattva Viveka Prakaram Vakshamyaha. So what is Sadhana Chatushtayam Kim? The next question came. Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha. Nitya and Anitya. What is permanent? What is impermanent? That Viveka, discrimination, you understood. You understood that this world is impermanent. What is permanent? The Lord Himself is permanent. The Creator Himself is permanent. Once this dawns in your mind, then what happens? Ihamutrartha phala bhoga viragaha. Then you start developing a dispassion towards this world. That virag, what we call, that sets in. Because you have understood there is no meaning to this world. Everything here is impermanent. So once this Ihamutrartha phala bhoga viragaha comes in, then you start developing, no, I want to reach the Almighty. I want to understand this permanent nature, and Shamadishat Sampattihi, Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana, these 6 qualities you start imbibing in yourself. And Mumukshutvam Cheti. Why you are doing all this? Because your intention is Mumukshutva. So then the question came, Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka Kaha. Nityavastu eka Brahma tadvediriktam sarvamanityam ayameva nitya nityavastu vivekaha. Nityavastu means the only permanent thing is that Lord, that Creator, Brahma. Tadvediriktam, other than that, sarvam, everything else, anityam is impermanent. Ayameva nitya nityavastu. Okay, this is what is the doctrine of nitya and anitya, discrimination or understanding. Then we started, after having got this, what is the inquiry into the truth? Tatva vivekaha kaha. The truth is, what is that viveka? Atma satyam. That Atma which is within you. Tadanyat sarvam mityeti. Everything else is an illusion. Your mind is not the same. Your body is not the same. Your feelings are not the same. Your thoughts are not the same. Only that consciousness within you is same all throughout, be it the waking state or the dream state or the deep sleep state. At all stages of your life, that consciousness, Atma within, that is what is permanent. So in this way, the journey has begun. So now we are in the third stage where we are going to get the Atma Bodha. Bodha is the knowledge of that God Supreme Power. Once we have this, then we have got the Bodha, and with it automatically comes the moksha. Okay. So I think now it's time up. So what we'll do is we'll take up this Atma Bodha, the oneness of the Jiva and the Paramatma, in the next class, which is next Friday. Okay. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Together we offer today's Jnana Yajna at the lotus feet of the Lord to seek His grace, mercy and blessings. Our humble salutations to the entire Guru Parampara. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Idam Namama. Om Tat Sat. Thank you everybody for being a part of this wonderful journey. I hope you are all getting to understand what's being told. If you all have any questions, please do check with us on that, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you. Hari Om.